up yours, woke moralist. We'll see who cancels who.
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta male.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you, don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed.
Repeat the line.
Disappointed.
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired! Fired! Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Tuesday. I've got a guest for you all, at least for the first segment. So, hold on. I want to welcome Ron Plagone back to the show.
What's up, Jeff? How are you, buddy?
Hey, welcome. Glad to see you.
Back at you, man.
All right, are we coming in loud and clear there to the audience?
Oh, yeah. Let's make sure we're all coming in. I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, it looks like the sound was off a little bit on something, but yeah, sorry about that. We're doing some testing here. Well, we're always in a we're always doing tests, right?
Testicles.
Yeah, it's sort of it's an ongoing process.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. We are
always good to see you, buddy.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about something interesting here. I'm going to talk about privacy. Very important. And we're going to talk about mostly some mergers. Get some mergers here. All right. So why don't we dive into that here real quick? Let me do something before we get into that. So, all right. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Amazon, the nation's second largest employer, has been buying up companies as of late. Lots and lots of companies at a very disturbing rate. Recently, the company has jumped into healthcare by purchasing One Medical for about $3.9 billion and also acquired iRobot, a company that makes the Roomba vacuums for about $1.7 billion. So now this is obviously a concern for people who are against monopolies, importantly, but also privacy advocates. And with me here, of course, to talk about the implications of some of these mergers is Ron Plagone, who's been doing a lot of good work with the antitrust pro-privacy group Fight for the Future. Ron, I want you to tell the audience about what the big issue here. First, with the iRobot merger, I want you to explain what exactly is the problem here.
Yeah, well, we'll start with iRobot because I'll tell you, I actually think the One Medical one is even more frightening, and we'll get to that second. But we'll start with iRobot. First of all, so iRobot, they make the cameras that go into Roombas. Right. So you look at what Amazon does. Amazon harvests your data. And then they use that to basically sell you products. And what types of products are they going to try to sell you? Well, all of their generic knockoff products. And that's how they, one of the many ways they make money. They're also responsible for over half of all online commerce. So now Amazon is going to be able to monitor what's going on in your house. They're going to be able to see your floor plans. They're going to be able to see your habits, your buying habits, your appliance habits, et cetera, et cetera. Right. And they're also going to use this to kind of corner that market for themselves, the same way they did when they acquired Ring. They acquired Ring in 2018. They drove all the other door cams out of business. And then what else, what did they do? Well, they started giving that information to law enforcement. So basically now everyone who has a Ring camera, you're putting your own neighborhood under constant surveillance. And the police in the United States have used that for such altruistic things like finding information on an ex-girlfriend and stuff like that. So it's not a good thing at all. It's a huge concern for privacy advocates.
So you're saying it's not like a neighborhood watch, but more like, I don't know, maybe helping ICE hunt down immigrants to get rid of.
Well, yeah, not only that, but it's like, I mean, we can tie in facial recognition software to all of this.
Sure.
Not only is it helping out horrible institutions like ICE, but a lot of times because of mismatches, they're not even getting the person they think that they're getting. I mean, there's literally been situations where people have been sent to countries they've never even been to, because they were mismatched with someone else on this incredibly faulty, destructive software. So yeah, this is not a good thing. These types of things, and especially when you're sticking to iRobot, I mean, this is just someone's home, but this type of surveillance, it does not help the good guys catch the bad guys, quote unquote. There's no evidence of that ever happening. Instead, it's used for very brutal means, very deceptive means. And it's just an overreach that's not making society better in any way whatsoever. This is just another for instance of that. These iRobot cameras, this isn't going to make your, this isn't going to make your Roomba more effective or anything like that. This is just going to make Amazon having more of your data for them to just sell you more junk.
Yeah, the thing that I can think of that kind of, I guess my brain went to this is the spying on Muslims in New York City after 9/11. So look, the New York Police Department, they decided to spy in on Muslims. Well, all they had to do apparently was just give them a Roomba. And then they would have been able to, not have to have agents to go around and pretend. Again, this was back in 2004, so they didn't have all this stuff, but you could just apply that today, and any group that potentially you would want law enforcement to spy in on, just order them a bunch of Roombas or some Echoes, and there you go. You can spy in on all of them without actually having to commit any agents or whatever to that cause. It is fairly disturbing when you think about how law enforcement now has access to all of that data, and that is a very uncomfortable merging of government, state, law enforcement, and corporations.
There's a word for that too, by the way.
There is.
There's a word for that. It starts with a vast, ends with an ism. So, we even have a word for that. And yeah, I mean, as of recent, to give another update on this, there is a letter that Fight for the Future, in conjunction with, I think, over 30 other organizations, ranging from digital rights organizations to labor organizations. The Teamsters are among them. Demand Progress is among them. They're sending a letter to the FTC to demand that they do something about this and to say, look, this is an overreach. This merger shouldn't happen. I mean, sometimes people forget we do have an FTC that's supposed to be on top of all this stuff. Yet for some reason, when HBO and Discovery want to merge, no problem. Any merger Time Warner wants, no problem. They seem to always be asleep at the wheel here.
I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that might have something to do with all the money these corporations happen to spend in lobbying. Oh, am I actually accusing the government of corruption? Yes.
I think you're onto something.
Yeah, I might be. It's very, very possible happening. In fact, look, why don't we go to the even more, as you mentioned, scary merger,
Yeah,
and that's with One Health, as I mentioned,
one
or I'm
medical.
sorry,
Yeah,
One Medical, where they purchased it for again nearly $4 billion. So that is a huge purchase. And look, when you're going to drop that amount of money, you're going to expect a pretty good return on investment. What exactly would they be getting back for such an investment, Ron? What do you think?
here's what I think they're trying to do, and this is just based on observing the way it works. So healthcare, I mean, we already have the most predatory healthcare system pretty much in the definitely in the industrialized world. And it's a for-profit system, obviously. We all know this. So Jeff Bezos is getting involved with that now. Well, why would he do that? Doesn't he have his hand in enough pies? Well, here's why. What did Jeff Bezos do with Amazon in the first place? Well, thanks to a lot of money from his parents and their rich friends, he was able to operate this business that was an online brick and mortar book retailer or whatever. They sold books online. They didn't make much money because a lot of people were not buying books online at that time, and books are only so popular of an item. But that wasn't his plan, was it? What his
No.
plan was to do was to eventually just kind of dominate the online commerce market, which he did. I think he's trying to do the same thing in healthcare. He's going to operate this company at a loss for as long as he has to, and he can do it for as long as he wants because he has unlimited cash. He can operate this thing at a loss for as long as he needs to. And then eventually he's going to dominate healthcare, and he's going to have a near monopoly on healthcare, which I mean, our system is already among the worst it is the worst in the industrialized world. It's among the worst in the world, period, because of predatory, for-profit, corrupt behavior. Imagine Jeff Bezos having a monopoly on top of all that. This is the guy that his warehouse conditions are so bad. 3 people died in July. There were 3 deaths in July in warehouses in New Jersey. They're investigating that now. And again, a bunch of labor organizations and digital rights organizations are calling on Congress to have the CEO of Amazon testify to the labor board. He also has no problem having his employees who do delivery routes, urinate in bottles so that they can make their routes. This is a this is a psychopath. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, there's no way you acquire that amount of wealth and you continue to be that wealth hungry unless you are a true sociopath, devoid of anything resembling empathy. And that's the type of person who is going to try to monopolize our healthcare system.
What would be the benefit, though? I'm just kind of curious. Like, what would be the benefit of getting into and having so much, I guess so much of a stake in healthcare systems in this country? Again,
because we all need
strange.
healthcare, man. I mean, he will make an obscene amount of money if we have this healthcare quote unquote system where anything goes already, and you can price gouge as much as you want. If you monopolize that, man, you're going to be making money hand over fist because people need to go to the doctor. So, I mean, it's like, you think the prices are bad now? They could get way, way worse.
I think what's even more, I think, disturbing about the entire conversation over, one company having, again, what they're going to do is they've already acquired a mail order pharmacy. And then also are building out a Amazon Care, which is virtual consultations and at-home visits from doctors, right? Yeah. The whole thing that's disturbing is the fact that we have a system already that make this seem to be more of an attractive option than what we already have. I mean, think about it. What Amazon has done for the market, for example, or the workplaces in everything else that they've done, which is to basically make cheap knockoffs of everything, right? In order to make more money. Well, apply that to healthcare. And not only that, but mistreating employees, right? So now you're going to have what? Employees, people that are supposed to be healthcare professionals that are getting mistreated. What are they going to do? Like, are they going to have to be peeing in bottles as well? while they're
Sure.
giving, all this different health or health screenings or whatever online. I mean, the horrors can only be, imagined of what
Exactly.
this is going to lead to.
Exactly. And I think you're kind of painting the picture pretty accurately to like what will likely unfold. Yeah, like in the short term, people might think, well, gee, I mean, again, our healthcare
Lower
system,
costs,
like
probably, right?
these are some of the lower costs. I mean, I think memberships start at about $200 a year.
They do.
For a lot of people, that's less than what they're paying for healthcare. So
Or
this might
insurance.
look appealing. And this might look like, oh, okay, this is better. And keep in mind, it's not like these other companies are good. I mean, the
Right.
health insurance companies are some of the most repulsive companies in the freaking world.
Right.
You're just taking something really bad and making it even worse, which is hard to even fathom. But like, if there's one way our ridiculous healthcare system could get even worse, it would be letting someone like Jeff Bezos monopolize it. And the wheels have started to turn for that to happen.
Right. And again,
that would be, I mean, eventually you would just have an entire nation of people where everything is just unattainable for basic healthcare.
right. And again, for millions of people, it already is. And
it already is, right?
And again, and they're kind of selling this whole thing, this whole idea, or they're going to start selling it as again convenience, right? Oh, well, you could just do this online, and it's much more convenient. Look at that, and there's going to be lower prices. It kind of reminds me, and I forget who started this company. It's a Mark Cuban, I think, a big investor, decides that he was going to get into pharmaceuticals. Interestingly enough, and so far, the company that he was that he's doing the pharmaceuticals from is so far offering lower prices on prescription drugs. But there's a problem with that. Again, with the cornering of the market and things like that, or getting access and patent to access to certain drugs that maybe they eventually might only be the ones be able to that will offer said drugs, or at least at a better price. I mean, you're going to have some huge issues with that market control, and it's just generally not a good thing when you have these big corporations that are unaccountable. And I think that's the big issue with me, is that they're unaccountable to the public,
right?
Being in control of these vital health services, and being, if it gets to the point of monopolization of said services, even worse.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what is so ridiculous concerning about this merger.
Right.
Because it's like, again, it's not like we're just kind of hypothesizing or guessing. We're basing this off of past behavior, very deliberate past behavior. This is what this company does. This is their business model. This is what has gotten them to the point it's gotten them to. So why would they do anything different in healthcare?
Yeah, and again, it's not just, Amazon. Amazon has been allowed to do this, but every company that was able to do this has actually done this.
Right.
This is why we originally were supposed to have antitrust legislation in the first place. But there is no one there that is actually using that legislation to break up these giant companies, or to prevent these companies from getting so large and so powerful in the first place. And I think that's where the other real problem, or just what this entire problem has started from, has begun, is they haven't done their jobs to make sure that there is a healthy and robust competition.
Yeah, I mean, so the little bit of good news here, Jeff, is there's some policy in Congress right now. I've been pushing it really hard. I've talked about it on your show before, but now's the perfect time to reiterate it. There is some antitrust legislation that starts breaking up big tech. It starts breaking up some of the predatory practices Amazon's able to do. It's not going to completely get us out of the woods, but we got to start somewhere, and we got to start breaking these things up. So please, I implore everybody watching, everybody listening, go to antitrustsummer.com, sign this petition. The bills are out there. Chuck Schumer has said he's going to give it a vote this fall. But guess what? Chuck Schumer's daughter is a lobbyist for Amazon, and his other daughter works for Meta, which is Facebook. So he has some conflict of interest floating around there. So we have to be so loud they can't ignore us. So please go to antitrustsummer.com. Demand the vote this fall. We were supposed to have it in June. They've been dragging their feet. They're just going to wait out the clock unless we scream so loud that they can't ignore us. So please, 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 antitrustsummer.com. This is the strongest antitrust legislation that we have seen in the United States in 40 years. So that's pretty significant antitrust legislation.
Right.
It will certainly cause a big dent. So please, antitrustsummer.com.
All right. Ron, thank you again for coming on the show and explaining all these things and really trying to, help us fight against this corporate monopolization.
Thanks, Jeff. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And I'll let folks know, again, please, antitrustsummer.com. And you can check me out, Twitter, @RonPlacone, YouTube, Ron Placone, and ronplacone.com. I'll be announcing some 23 tour dates soon. And I'll see you again soon, buddy.
All right, we'll be bringing you back on the show to talk more about this stuff at another time.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Be well, buddy.
All right, thank you. You too. Bye.
Peace.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got more show for you here today. So stay right here. We're going to fix the split screen stuff and be right back. So. All right, everybody, I am back. Around the Nation right here. Jeff Walder here with you. All right, why don't we get started here with the rest of the show. If you haven't already, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. All right. Former Trump aides and advisors are facing some new legal troubles as the Department of Justice investigation into January 6th, as well as Donald Trump's attempt to block the peaceful transition of power, here's up. So now the DOJ over the last week has issued about 40 grand jury subpoenas to aides and advisors of the former president. That's right. We got some subpoenas going on. Many subpoenas, tremendous subpoenas. Okay, so now one of them, obtained by the New York Times, requested information about any member of the Trump administration or legislative branch who helped plan or took part in the January 6th rally preceding the attack on the Capitol. Prosecutors had also asked for any information on those who tried to obstruct, influence, impede, or delay the certification of the 2020 Electoral College results. According to the New York Times, the escalation in the long-running probe has also seen the seizure of mobile phones belonging to two of Mr. Trump's longtime confidants, campaign strategist Mike Roman and Trump attorney and occasional podcast host Boris Epstein. Fun. It took the phone. Great. The New York Times sources note the phone seizures were related to Rudy Giuliani and attorney John Eastman's fake elector scheme. So again, it's where they basically in these different states where Trump did not win, they said, we don't care. We're going to go and we're going to put in our own slate of fake electors that are going to vote for Donald Trump. So, the Electoral College will give Donald Trump a win, even though he did not actually win. So, they're investigating that. And about 20 of the 40 subpoenas, so about half of them, asked for information and communications about this scheme, according to the Times. So, interesting. Now, the subpoenas had also targeted people who remain close to the ex-president since his term had ended on January 20th, 2021, including his longtime social media guru, Daniel Scavino. So now, let me talk about the phones for a minute. I wonder what they're going to find, if they're going to find anything. Now, I do know that, hey, if they were smart, the people whose phones were being taken, they would have wiped those phones long ago. Just saying. But of course, we're talking about Trump people who might not be the best or smartest people. That said, in addition to Mr. Epstein, Mr. Roman, and Mr. Scavino, another Trump confidant, ex-New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik, also received a subpoena as well. An attorney for Kerik, though, said that the subpoena for his client was served early last week and was very, very broad in its scope. Well, basically, they said, give us anything and everything related to anybody that is tangentially related to the Trump campaign, including a long, long laundry list. The lawyer, Timothy Parlatore, told The Hill. Well, look, if that's the case, and understand the source, this is Bernard Kerik's lawyer. Well, okay, if that's the case, then it would seem that line of inquiry would be relatively early, because maybe they're just casting a wide net, finding anybody that they might, finding something on people who, might be able to put some pressure on others to get information. That's generally how it tends to work. You get the small fish, and then it leads up to the bigger fish. That said, again, I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a prosecutor, so I could be off on my analysis. Still, that's a lot of subpoenas and a significant ramp up of the investigation, at least on the public side. Now, there's one more thing that I have to note, which also could be significant, and that is the Times noted that the prosecutors appear to be homing in on another line of the investigation involving Trump's Save America PAC. So they're going to go and look into that PAC's finances, which I think is, again, really interesting. This follows this House Select Committee investigation into the January 6th attack, eyeing Trump's fundraising campaigns, opening questions into whether his false claims about the election fraud had misled solicited donors. So now we're talking about, did he mislead his donors? Now, I think that if you're asking that question, well, it's going to be very, very easy to prove. Donald Trump, of course, is a well-known con man and liar. And so, yes, he absolutely misled his donors. Now, of course, that in itself, lying to people for money, it depends on the situation, but when it comes to, for example, giving to political campaigns, not necessarily illegal. Although, again, this is what he did. He lied about an election that he lost, okay? Told his fans to give him money so that he could sue to overturn the election based on the big lie, the lie about mass voter fraud. So now we know, of course, that he wasn't going to overturn an election. There was never any constitutional vehicle or precedent for doing such a thing. But again, he told his fans, election defense fund, give me all this money so that I can sue and we can, overturn this election. We can put me back as the rightful president. Okay, but that fund didn't exist. It wasn't real. The election defense fund wasn't real. Nonetheless, he managed to raise $250 million for that. So now, since that didn't exist, the money had to have gone somewhere, right? Now, it went to Save America PAC. Is that illegal? Well, it depends on what Save America PAC did with the money. If it did political stuff with it, then no, that wouldn't be illegal. However, if any of that money did happen to go to, I don't know, personal finances, personal expenditures when it came to Trump, well, then that's different. And so, look, the fact that they are looking into this suggests that there could be some evidence that funds were misappropriated for personal use, which again would be defrauding donors. And if that were the case, it would be a lot like what Steve Bannon had been originally indicted for and is now back in court in New York specifically to face more charges of. And so I think that's interesting. That said, if there is no evidence, if they didn't misappropriate the funds, then no prosecutor would even look at this. No prosecutor would take such a case. There would have to be a very strong suspicion that he had taken that money, stuffed it into his own pockets, or paid off members of his staff to do certain things. We don't know. Either way, it shows that they are widening this investigation, this probe, into Trump's fundraising, his finances, as well as, again, looking into the fake electors and other facets of January 6th. So that is interesting. Now, one more thing. If they do find something, and I don't know if they will, and I'm speaking strictly on things that they can do criminal action for. If they end up not going and doing these indictments and charges, then all of this, all the investigations would be for nothing. So I'm really hoping that if there is something criminal, and I don't want them going after Trump for things that are, not criminal, even though, again, we know he's a lifelong con man and grifter. But if he didn't do anything criminal, I don't want political investigations for the point of political investigations. And so I'm really hoping that if the DOJ does find something, they actually go after him for it and file criminal charges. Again, if they don't, this would be all for nothing. All right. Moving on. Go to Marjorie Greene.
Because they believe the way to drive people to the polls is by scaring them. They're lying to women all over America saying that they can't have an abortion anymore, which that's a lie. There's plenty of places that women can easily get an abortion. They're lying to gay Americans saying that Republicans are trying to take away gay marriage when that's not something. I haven't even seen a bill that says anything like that.
So that was Representative Marjorie Greene, continuing to prove how every accusation from them is a confession. So why don't we get into that? Oh, Republicans, they're not trying to ban abortion. What are you talking about? Oh, really? That's funny because you must have missed this then.
We will introduce legislation, I, along with a lot of my colleagues, to basically get America in a position at the federal level I think is fairly consistent with the rest of the world. I think we should have a law at the federal level that would say after 15 weeks, no abortion on demand, except in cases of rape, incest, to save the life of the mother. And that should be where America's at.
That was Lindsey Graham earlier today talking about his new federal abortion ban. So here are more details from the New York Times. Mr. Graham's proposal, which is being misleadingly labeled as a late-term abortion ban. Again, this is 15 weeks. It would institute a nationwide ban on all abortions after 15 weeks, with exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother, but would also leave in place, and this is important, state laws with stricter abortion requirements. So, for example, if your state has banned abortion completely, if you live in like Florida, Texas, whatever, this bill changes pretty much nothing. If you have a more draconian law, this bill just leaves it alone. But if you happen to live in a state where they do not have such draconian laws, that, for example, bans abortion after 20 or 22 weeks, or not at all, well, then, as a consequence, you're going to have the federal government coming in and saying, "Ooh, sorry, we have an abortion ban. What are you going to do?" Now, weird. I thought that Lindsey Graham's position was let's let the states decide. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, he had said just that. Oh no, I don't want to do a nationwide ban. What are you talking about? Mitch McConnell's like, oh no, nationwide ban. No, we're not interested in doing that. No. But now Lindsey Graham's like, oh, well, this is bipartisan, and we hope that we're going to have other people from the other side come in. Well, I can guarantee you at least one Democrat's going to do so. That's Henry Cuellar, who is anti-choice. And maybe even in the Senate, Manchin. Oh, could you imagine? But look, here's the thing. This was never about letting the states decide. Never about states' rights. No. It's about controlling women. It always has been. Now, getting back to Greene, right? Now, she also mentioned, you can get an abortion somewhere else. Well, no, as I mentioned before, if you're 15 weeks, well, every state would be subject to that if Graham's bill passes. Now, of course, there's no chance of that happening. At this point in time, no chance of that happening. But still, what she says is not true at all, because only people of means can travel to other states to get abortions. In fact, there's a story of a Texas woman who needed an abortion because her baby was not going to survive after it was born. It had numerous defects, which again would lead to that child dying right after it was born, literally suffocating to death. Okay, so, and not only that, but carrying that child to term would put her life in danger as well. And so what she did is that she ended up having to go out of state because of Texas's laws and to get an abortion in another state. Now, of course, that costs thousands of dollars. She happened to be able to do so because she had family that was willing to help her with that money, because you have the procedure that is not covered under insurance plans. In fact, Texas had actually banned insurance companies from being able to even have them cover it. So you have that cost that is on you, plus you have the costs of travel, you have the costs of lodging, etc. And so what she means by that then really is, if you're rich, you can get an abortion. Hey, if you're rich, yes, you can go get an abortion anywhere. Totally fine. But if you're poor, sorry, poor people, you're fucked. Now enjoy the baby that we force you to have. That may or may not kill you. It's as I said before, every accusation is a confession. Oh, the Democrats are just trying to scare you. Really? Well, studies have shown that Republicans tend to operate on two different things when it comes to their brain. Fear and disgust. That's why they talk about immigrants being dirty and diseased, and then fearmonger about crime. It's not that there aren't issues with immigration or immigration system or crime. No, there are serious issues, and they require, pretty serious solutions to this, right? But understand that when the right wing does it, they don't mean, hey, we're going to, an immigration, we're going to get the root of the issue with immigration, partly due to our drug war, of course, the fact that we have invaded and overthrew a lot of Southern, South American leaders that have created instability in these countries, punishing embargoes for governments that we don't like, that have exacerbated poverty, and have made it so that coming to America is much better than, for example, staying in a place where you might very well be murdered or starved to death. And so, yeah, they'll come to the border. Or, what comes to crime, right? Oh, yeah, no, we're not actually going to solve these social and economic issues that create crime. No. All we're going to do is fearmonger about scary black people, because that's what gets you riled up. That's what gets the attention. That's what gets you out to the polls. We're going to, just say scary black people, crime, Minnesota, Ferguson, and then what happens? It's a Pavlovian reaction. Conservative ears perk up, and they go, oh, what are you going to do? Police, we need more cops. We need more cops. We need more brutality. We need more prison. Yeah, prison, more prison. So it's really rich that you have this narrative from Marjorie Greene, how it's just Democrats are out there scaring people about things that have actually happened. Reproductive rights have been stripped from millions of women, trans men, and non-binary people in a lot of these states that had, again, these trigger laws, these abortion bans that were already in place. Now, as far as same-sex marriage, most Republicans also voted against codifying the right to same-sex marriage after members of the Supreme Court, specifically Thomas, started looking at Obergefell. That Obergefell, we don't think that was a good decision. I mean, we're not going to go after it right now, but Obergefell, not a good decision. In fact, Ted Cruz had also said the same thing. Faulty decision. Now, if you look at places like Florida that have banned LGBTQ books, for example, or expression in public schools for people who are, especially trans people, but also, again, anything that has to do with being a member of that community, even talking about, how, I've got 2 moms or 2 dads and things like that. If you look at that, I think Republicans, at least in Florida, are laying the groundwork for eventually rolling back same-sex marriage and trans rights. The same way I think they did that on abortion. Remember, this was a multi-decade effort to roll back reproductive rights. They know how to play the long game. They have shown that. And that's why, that's why I'm really concerned about it. Yeah, sure, it may not be until 30 years down the road. But of course they're going to come for same-sex marriage. Even though, by the way, the majority of conservative voters, not to mention American voters, actually support same-sex marriage. It doesn't matter, because what they're doing is trying to appeal to a very small, dwindling, group of very bigoted people. These are members of the evangelical community, members of the extreme right religious movement, who have made their foundation on being anti-LGBTQ. And so that is a very, very powerful voting bloc within the Republican Party, and tend to turn out very, I could say, religiously. And so, of course, these politicians want to hold on to that for as long as they can. And that's also why you're seeing things like these so-called religious liberty laws, things like that. And so this is what we're facing. And so for Marjorie Greene to come out and just do this classic gaslighting and projection is really something to see. Got to fight against it. Got to make sure we protect rights for all Americans. All right. Following Alex Jones's loss in court, the last month's defamation lawsuit, you would think that he would have learned his lesson by now. But apparently, he is not. Because, of course, Alex Jones, according to Law and Crime, has already been sanctioned by a Connecticut judge in the newest defamation suit. Judge Barbara Bellis sanctioned the right-wing conspiracy theorist on Tuesday morning at the start of his second defamation trial after his legal team had failed to turn over discovery documents, specifically Google Analytics, to the plaintiffs. Now, she said this, quote, "This stunningly cavalier attitude with respect to their discovery obligations is what led to the default in the first place. The defendants have consistently engaged in dilatory and obstructionist discovery practices from the inception of these cases right through the trial." Now, look, the impact on his case, of course, look, it's probably very likely going to lead to another default judgment, but so far hasn't, because the judge has so far forbidden Jones's defense team from presenting any evidence or arguments in the trial that the broadcaster and his entities did not profit from their coverage of the Sandy Hook school massacre, saying that they had refused to comply with her clear order to turn over the data to the plaintiffs as part of discovery. So, okay, if you plan on using that defense, which, again, obviously they didn't seem to be interested in using that defense because it wouldn't work. Look, Alex Jones profited handsomely off Sandy Hook, making millions of dollars from his website off of, shady supplements, prepper gear, dick pills during the times that he was talking about Sandy Hook. I mean, you can look at the records that correlate to the days where he talked very heavily about the Sandy Hook massacre and made tons of money. I think it's somewhere around, at one point, $800,000 in one day. So I don't know. Again, it didn't look like they were going to be able to use that defense because even if they had, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. The analytics are quite clear, as well as, of course, the financial disclosures. But Bellis continued. She said, "Perhaps the most egregious representation in the filing states that the defendant contends and has always contended that neither he nor the various entities with which he is affiliated has such data. Oh, it just doesn't exist. And that there was nothing more that could be done. Oh, the analytics data. Oh, it just doesn't exist. Oh, you see, we can't get you the data because we just don't have it. We can't show you that we, made money off Sandy Hook." Really? The defendant, she says, knew of the existence of the Google Analytics documents at the time these representations were made to the court by their counsel. So look, what this is a clown show. Of course it is. Look, no doubt Alex Jones is going to do what he always does and claim
we're under attack.
And talk about how unfair everything is, the entire thing, and how the judge is, probably a pedophile, which is the last time that actually happened. And there it is. That's his entire defense, is to turn this thing into a circus. And who knows? I mean, maybe in the middle of the circus, we'll get another moment where, just like last time, his idiot lawyers will send another couple years of private phone data to the plaintiff's team. I mean, you never know. With the crack legal team that Alex Jones has assembled, you never know what fun stuff is going to happen.
It's not human intelligence.
Now, the other thing here is it's very, very clear that Alex Jones takes none of this seriously. I don't think I've ever seen anyone trying so hard to lose. And to make all these, again, proceedings, these actual court cases into a media, just a giant circus. And again, maybe that's a strategy, but it's not a good strategy. But look, maybe it is if you actually have a good defense. I don't know. But what's going on here is that I think Alex Jones is just trying to lose all of his cases so that he can go and cry about how unfair everything is and get people to donate. Because when it comes down to, at the end of the day, for Jones, this is all about money. It always has been. And so he's a showman, he's an entertainer, and yes, like Trump, he can be very entertaining at times. But at the end of the day, it's always been about money based on lies. All right, moving on. Let's go to the last story here. Speaking of grifters, Senate candidate John Fetterman has a new ad out going after Dr. Oz for his history of promoting quack cures. Take a look.
I realized pretty early on that medicine was run by money.
He's the TV doctor who knows how to sell America on what he prescribes. His empire and wealth have flourished.
I've got the #1 miracle in a bottle. I've got a brand new miracle. This thing is lightning in a bottle. How much would you pay for a pill that takes your body back 10 years?
Garcinia cambogia.
Forskolin.
Fairy dust for your belly.
It's the holy grail of cancer prevention.
Crystal sonic therapy.
Raspberry ketone.
Yacon syrup.
There's a revolutionary cure for pain that few doctors know about. Post-magnetic therapy, green coffee beans.
Exorcisms.
You want to look younger, feel more energized, and boost your brain power?
Bearberry extract.
Sea buckthorn. You can do it all with one miracle pill. I realized pretty early on that medicine was run by money.
Not a doctor.
That's right. Crystal sonic therapy, raspberry ketones, and of course, exorcisms. You know, exorcisms. Hey, lose inches off your waist by expelling the demons. Yes, that's right.
It's the devil, okay?
You got to get rid of the demons, and maybe you can lose those 10 inches off your waist. Just saying. Next on the doctors. Look, you can't make this stuff up. Honestly. I really wish we could, because this is ridiculous. Look, the irony, by the way, about all these different fake cures is that since we don't have healthcare in this country, people actually go, instead of being able to go to a real doctor to get real medicine, to get real cures, or even real advice in order to try to stay healthy, they end up relying on these idiots. Or I can't really say idiots, because they're actually really smart when it comes to ripping people off. They're grifters. Maybe, I don't know, if we had some sort of national healthcare program, like a combination of Medicaid and Medicare, expanded to everyone so that everyone gets it. Yeah, I know, that'd be crazy talk, isn't it? Now, along with this video, Fetterman tweeted, because this was one of his campaign ads, which I thought was really good. He said, "Too bad that there's no miracle cure for being a total fraud." And that's what Oz is. Total fraud. Absolute snake oil salesman who became very, very wealthy after, selling all of this stuff and has been repeatedly called out to answer for it. In fact, all the way back in 2014, you had a study that revealed that more than half of his medical advice was completely wrong. Just absolutely wrong. So understand that this is worse than BS supplements. He's literally given people just false medical information that could either hurt or kill them because maybe they took something that they weren't supposed to, or whatever, right? Or more likely, They just didn't get the actual medical treatment that they needed because they chose to trust this guy and his fake cures over an actual doctor. And so that's really the big problem. And look, the other thing is he knows better. He's not an idiot. He's a retired cardiothoracic surgeon. It's not like he doesn't know that this is all BS. No, he knows. He knows. But he still decided to sell or promote these things for profit, for personal profit. And that's the big problem. One example, for example, cited by the Daily Beast, is when he promoted a product called True Biotics on his show. Now, he promoted this and didn't disclose the fact that he is actually invested in the parent company of True Biotics. In fact, Oz was a member of the board of directors and holds a stake in Pantherix, the developer of True Biotics. He has a stake in that business worth as much as $1 million. And in several other instances, Oz's platforms boosted Pantherix products without disclosing Oz's personal financial relationship to said company. And in 2018, for example, videos ran in the Dr. Oz Show website that were sponsored by DiaRescue, another Pantherix supplement. None of those products that were plugged by Oz were approved by the FDA, and one study even found DiaRescue was no better than a placebo. So just total nonsense, just fake. They don't work. No medical benefit at all to any of the stuff that he's selling. So absolute total snake oil salesman. Look, you know what's great about this entire thing? There are receipts. There's an entire career of Dr. Oz coming out and promoting things that just don't work. In that way, I mean, it's kind of good that he became a celebrity doctor. Because you have this laundry list of things that he has done to ensure that he doesn't get into the Senate where he could actually, I don't know, vote on healthcare bills. No, it's important not to give a person like that kind of power. Because we see what motivates us. Him going to politics is just about him being able to recruit more money, more power, and to help the companies that he's personally invested in, as well as any prospective donors, to help them get more money. It is nothing but pure greed. That is Oz's entire platform, and it should be called out. And I'm glad Fetterman is doing so. These ads are incredibly strong, and look at that. You actually have a Democrat that fights. Amazing. All right. Well, that's it. That's all I got for you today. Thank you for going around the nation with me. Let's see. Peril 77 is requesting some Alex Jones.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. I want to go to space. I will eat your ass.
All right. So hopefully that tied you over on that. Thank you for the very kind super chat. Appreciate that. Let's see. Twitch, thank you, a Red Hobbit, for subbing for a month at tier 1. Appreciate that. All right. So that's it. DiaRescue sounds like a laxative. It might be. I don't know. That's what's scary about it. You don't know how that's going to affect your colon. And if you only get one colon, okay? You don't want to blow that up. Trust me, it would not work out well.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Okay. Gross says Alex Jones said he eats ass. Some people are into that. Not myself, but, you know, I'm not going to kink shame anybody. Just saying. Just saying. But that was, no, that was even worse, though, Jameson, because Alex Jones, that was on a segment where he said, I'll eat my neighbors. I will literally eat my neighbors. I was like, what are you talking about? Insane. That's who Alex Jones is. Okay. So, anyway, thank you again for going on that issue with me today. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Once again, big thanks to Ron for coming on and talking about those important issues of, corporations getting bigger and bigger and more powerful. Hey, if you're a conservative and you hate big tech, well, I also hate big tech. So maybe not for the same reasons that you do, or maybe for some of the same reasons. But when you have companies that are way too big and way too powerful and completely unaccountable to the public, we can agree you should break them up. So, and we will be having Ron more often to go and talk about that stuff. So, again, very important stuff they're doing. Antitrustsummer.com. It may not be summer anymore, but maybe we can make sure these mergers fall. Okay, that was bad, I know. I love you all anyway. For Twitch, we're going to do a raid here. We will raid into Jordan Ewell. So, Jordan's show over in the TYT channel, Deep Dive. So, check that out. That's a really, really good program, covering a lot of corporate malfeasance, shall we say. Everybody else, thank you. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. See y'all back here tomorrow.
Sexual anarchy.
Internet.
We will keep kicking your ass every single day.
You're fired.
Oh yeah.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Bitch, move it along.